should get
Okay.
started.
All right. Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Carla Galais. I'm the chair of the Student Advisory Committee. I just want to welcome you all to the November 17th, 2023 meeting. It's 10:03 a.m. Conducted by via WebEx. So today on the agenda, we're going to start with some introductions. Chancellor Chang is going to pop in at some point, and we might pause in the introductions when he comes in because he's a busy man, and he's going to give us some updates. And then from there, we're going to move to open discussion. So we have a few items to talk about today. But first, we will start with attendance. So I'll go institution by institution. So do we have Central here?
Yep, here.
Oh, yes, Luis. Eastern.
Here.
Is that you, Mia? Okay. Southern? Anyone from Southern here yet? Okay, Western. Anyone from Western? Okay. Charter Oak?
Donna Wagner here from Charter Oak.
Donna. All right, then we have a Snuntuck. Anyone from a Snuntuck? All right, Capital. Gateway.
Yeah, that's me. Sorry. I get confused sometimes because of the merger. So
It's okay.
a little confusing. Thank you.
Kristen, you're with Capital?
Yeah, Christian.
Christian. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Gateway. No one from Gateway yet?
Well, no, now I'm confused because I'm from Gateway, but I work at the financial aid office, so we've been literally telling everyone to call it Capital Community College. But I'm from Gateway.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so you're from Gateway.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
No worries. Who's a tonic?
Good morning, Michelle's here.
Good morning, Michelle. Manchester.
Yeah, Gordon's here.
Hi, Gordon. Middlesex.
Hi, I'm Luna. I'm the replacement.
Hi, Luna. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Naugatuck Valley.
Over here, Anelli Rivera.
Hi, Nelly. Good morning. Northwestern, that would be me. Carla Galais. Norwalk.
Here, Nanette Addo.
Quinnebog Valley. Quinnebog. Three Rivers. Morning, Hiram. And Tunxus. All right. And we had a few people.
This is here, I think.
Tunxus.
I see them in the chat, yeah.
Okay. Right. Now who is that? I'm sorry. Oh,
Anthony, I believe.
Okay. Sorry. And Toby, what campus are you representing? I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, okay, it's working. It wasn't working before. Awesome. I'm with QV.
Excellent. Okay. Is there anyone I haven't called? Who is a call-in user? Are you able to unmute and tell us who you're representing?
Chancellor Chang, how are you?
Oh, hello, Chancellor Chang. Good. How are you?
Hi. Good. Sorry, I'm in transit. I'm trying to get to the office they gave me. I'm on a different campus right now, so I'll just call in until I get to my computer and all that.
Thank you so much for coming in today and giving us an update. So it's perfect timing because Yes, everybody, this is Chancellor Chang. He's going to give us an update this morning on our Board of Regents meeting and whatnot.
So Carla, I think until Chancellor Chang can get to his office and set up his camera and everything,
Oh,
maybe we continue with the discussion.
oh, sure. I misinterpreted that. Okay. All right, Chancellor Chang, do you want to just let us know when you're ready if you're still there?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I'm here. Just give me like 5 minutes, so just carry on, and then I'll log on. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, well, we were thinking of we're gonna do a little icebreaker thing today. So maybe we'll just go one by one until Chancellor Chang is ready. Maybe we can give your name, your major, and maybe your dream job, and a fun fact about you. And this is kind of just to get to know each other and build a little communication. So how about we just start from the top and work our way down? Like I'll go first. My name is Carla Galais. I'm the Northwestern campus representative. My major is general studies. When I transfer out of here, I'm going to be majoring in anthropology because I'd like to be a professor one day. My dream job is to be an author. And fun fact about me, I'm ambidextrous. So Anelli, would you like to go next?
Sure thing. My name is Anelli Rivera. I'm the Naugatuck Valley representative. I major in digital arts and technology. When I do graduate, I'm not entirely sure what college I'll go to, but I know that I'll be transferring to a four-year college eventually. My dream job is to become a game developer and or animator, preferably both, because there's nothing wrong with knowing both.
That's very cool. Do you want to do a fun fact about yourself?
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Well, my name, Anelli, Anaeli, is actually backwards to my mother's name, who's Ileana, Ileana.
Thank you. Anthony, would you like to go next? We're just gonna go down.
Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Cool. My name is Anthony Vaccarelli. I am the representative from Tunxis, and I'm also the president of the Tunxis Student Government. And I am currently majoring in graphic design. And a fact about me is that I never experienced a junior or senior prom in my high school due to COVID.
Christian, do you like to go next?
Okay. My name is Christian. My major is political science. Dream job is a retired billionaire. And a fun fact about me is I have 2 cats. And they're the best cats that have ever existed. And you cannot debate me on this. I am just correct.
I'm also a cat person, so I understand Christian. Donna, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm Donna Wagner. I'm actually not in Connecticut. I'm in Northeast Florida. There was a period many moons ago that I lived in Connecticut. One of my first associate's degree was there at Three Rivers Community College, and I'm completing another degree at Charter Oak in Health Information Management. I think I'm kind of already working my dream job. I work as a medical coder and auditor at the Florida Blue offices here in Jacksonville. It's the Blue Cross and Blue Shield plan for Florida. So I get to collaborate with a lot of people in the payment integrity office to catch the bad guys that try to run up our medical costs. So it's always an adventure every single day. I've worked a variety of different jobs and careers all over the country. My husband was previously in the Navy. He was actually stationed there at the Groton base on a submarine a long time ago. The fun fact, when I lived in Connecticut, I actually worked for a radio station in Warwick, Rhode Island, and my side hustle was calling greyhound races there at the Plainfield Greyhound Park on the weekend. So that was a lot of fun too. And I'm also a cat person. I have 5 cats.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Donna, for sharing all that. Gordon, would you like to go next?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Gordon. I'm a business student at Manchester campus, and a fun fact is that as an AmeriCorps Vista, I created the best college campus food pantry in the country, and my dream job would be to replicate that system-wide, even nationwide.
Thank you, Gordon. Hiram. Oh, we can't hear you, Hiram. You're not muted. If you'd like, if you want to just type it in the chat, if that's easier, and I can read it aloud for you. So we can't hear you. Do you want us to come back to you?
We'll come back to him.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, feel free to type it in the chat and I can read it aloud for you. Okay, we'll come back to Hiram. Lynn. Lynn, do you want to unmute yourself? Okay, maybe we'll come back to Lynn. Luis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luis Sanchez, and I serve as your vice chair here at the Student Advisory Committee. I'm currently in the CCSU School of Business, and I'm majoring in Management Informational Systems with a minor in Psychology. Fun fact about me, I'm originally from a southern city in Ecuador called Cuenca. I was born there and lived there for half of my life almost until I was 12 years old. And then after that, I moved to Connecticut. Uh, let's see, my career aspirations, I can see myself as owning my own consulting firm and consulting different businesses regarding different problems they encounter and helping them build a business structure. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Luis. Luna? Would you like to?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Luna. I'm from the Middlesex campus. My major right now is liberal arts and sciences, but after I transfer, I plan to study sociology and political science. And my dream job would be to be a lawyer. I plan to go to law school. And a fun fact is that I competitively swam for like 7 years.
So next is Mia. She's having difficulties with her mic. So she said in the chat, she is the Eastern CT State representative. She's an industrial organizational psychology and Spanish major. Fun fact, she's a classically trained opera singer. That's amazing, Mia. Very cool. You'll have to sing for us now. Thank you. Hiram, did you want to give it another try? Oh, he left. Okay, we'll come back. Michelle?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle. I'm the representative for the Housatonic campus. My major right now is criminal justice. My dream job is to be a forensic scientist, so I am in the wrong major. But it wasn't really my fault. It was my advisor's fault, but that's a long story. So my dream job is to be a forensic scientist, just to work in the lab. with DNA analysis and ballistics. And one fun fact about me is I love to dance and cook.
Lynette.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lynette Addo. I am the representative for CT State Norwalk, and right now I am a liberal arts and sciences student. But when I do transfer to a four-year college, which I'm like in the process of right now, I want to major in actually finance and psychology. My dream job is I want to actually have my own practice in like therapy. And one fun fact about me is that, well, I'm from Ghana, and over there we have day names. So my day name is Ama, which means I was born on a Saturday.
So we're just going to take a break from the icebreaker for a moment. Chancellor Chang.
Hey, you guys should carry on with the icebreaker. I'm enjoying hearing about everybody and learning a little bit about folks. So then when you guys are done, we can just jump into the conversation, okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay, actually believe it's just Toby that's left. And then we'll come back to Hiram.
All right. Everybody hear me?
I can.
Okay, cool. So I did 2 enlistments in the Marine Corps, spent my life in construction, pretty much did a lot of damage to my body, and the VA got tired of piecing me together. So they said, why don't you do something different? I said, like what? And they said, well, we got a program. We'll put you through college, anything you want. So I had a meeting. It was by the telephone. They said, okay, what do you want to do? And I said, okay, I want to be a lawyer. And they got real quiet and they said, pick something else. So off the top of my head, I picked social work because it enabled me to do something good in the world. Although the way it works, if I continue to do well in school, they would consider putting me into law school. But while I look a mere 18 years old, I'm actually 60. So the idea of going through a 4-year degree and then going to law school, you know, we'll see what mortality has to say about that. As far as fun facts, it's a small world because I do radio or have done radio in the state of Connecticut. I did it over, decades, but I actually used to do a radio show down in Groton, Connecticut. And if anybody knows why the New London sub base is located in Groton, I'd appreciate it if you could hit me up because I have no idea. It's just one of those New England things. With that, I'll pass the mic.
Thank you, Toby. Hiram, would you like to give it another try?
Is it working now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. That took an embarrassing long time. And funny enough, like I'm a computer science major, so yeah, apparently like I was connected on the web browser for WebEx. The web browser does not have options that the mainline has, so I will only be using the mainline now. So I'm a computer science major at Three Rivers. My dream job would probably be a narrative designer for game development because I also very much enjoy creative writing. That was what I was originally going to do, but I decided to get a computer science degree because I already had strong basics for creative writing, and I figured I could get more knowledge on computer science. And a fun fact about me is I actually graduated in 2020. So I didn't feel confident going into college initially, so I worked as a teacher for a year before going into college.
Okay, I think that was everyone. We have a really great group here. Very diverse. So Chancellor Chang, the floor is yours.
Cool. So I'll do the icebreaker. So I'm Terrence Chang. I'm the chancellor of the system. And, I'm an immigrant. I'm a first-gen student myself. I came here from Taiwan when I was just a baby, and I've benefited from public higher ed my whole life. I think this is close to my dream job. I wish we had a little less drama,
with this job, and then I think it would be my dream job. But you know, it's an incredible responsibility, and it's just an amazing time to be in this place and in this space. And just listening to you guys, I'm you know, the word I've been kind of thinking about more, especially as I'm like in my 50s now, right? So I think more about like old people stuff. And you know, the word I think about is nourishing, right? Like what's nourishing to you as an excuse me, as an individual, as a professional, and working with students and making our students, making our learning environments, making our communities, our institutions better. You know, that's nourishing work, right? So listening to you all, hearing your stories, where you come from, what you want to do when you graduate, and all that, that is very inspiring and nourishing to me. So I appreciate you all being here and giving me a little time for us to just have a conversation. Um, but, you know, Carla, I thought maybe I would just kind of do a quick overview of where we are, and then we could just open it up to some questions. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, that's
Good.
perfect. Thank you.
Great. So we just had a big board meeting yesterday. Was it yesterday? Today's Friday. No, sorry, meeting was to Wednesday. All the time kind of blurs together at a certain point. We had a big board meeting on Wednesday, and every one of our presidents and institutional leaders gave a presentation on how we are dealing with the current budget situation across the system, right? And so it probably doesn't escape your attention at this point that things are not great, okay? And I can talk a little bit about kind of how we got here and what we're currently doing, right? So let's start with the how we got here. And I'm happy to kind of, you know, have a deeper conversation, or we can try to share some data and information that I might refer to. But, you know, our analysis shows that this system, even though the state funding for the system has technically been increasing, let's say over the last 15 years, we can also show that those increases have gone almost 100% every single year to covering the fringe benefit costs of our employees. Okay, so we have over 10,000 employees across the whole system, right? Thousands of full-timers, thousands of part-timers, so in total around 10,000 employees. And you know, we know that the cost of healthcare and the cost of benefits has continued to go up. And so the way we've been funded, we can show that, you know, almost every single dollar has gone to meeting those increasing costs. And that's not begrudging that against anyone, right? That's just how much it costs to be an employee in the state of Connecticut. What does that do to our quote unquote operating budget, right? Operating budget is, what do we put into student services? What do we put into hiring more faculty? What do we put into keeping our buildings and grounds and our facilities upgraded? What do we do with trying to build new programs, right? So when every dollar goes into fringe benefit costs, then it keeps your operating budget flat. And our operating budget has really been flat for a long, long time. So that's one thing to understand. The other thing that you should probably understand in terms of how we got here is that, you know, those costs of fringe benefits have continued to go up. That's number one. And number two, the way certain things have kind of transpired from a state level, you know, we've actually absorbed more burden. And at the same time that that burden has been kind of put upon us, we've also experienced declining enrollment since 2010. So enrollment across the entire system, and frankly, across the entire Northeast and huge parts of the country, have been going down since 2010. That is a birth rate, fertility rate, immigration rate, migration rate problem across the whole country, but more specifically, more acutely here in the Northeast and in New England. We're feeling that right now. So you're going to hear things like the demographic cliff and that kind of stuff. Well, we've already hit the demographic cliff. Okay. And then the last thing I'll say is all of this, the budget, how it's constructed, declining enrollments around the country, all of that is just compounded and multiplied in terms of force factor by COVID, right? I heard one of you just say that, yeah, I think someone said they didn't go to a prom junior or senior year because of COVID. I mean, that's a massive loss, right? And so I just, for all of you as our students and folks who are part of our system, it hurts me. It breaks my heart to know that you all have lost things that we're not going to get back because of COVID, right? And COVID has impacted our enrollment in a massive way as well. And so all of those factors kind of bring us to where we are now, which is our enrollment is barely starting to stabilize. Our state funding, which was driven a lot by our federal funding and COVID relief funds these past few years, all that money has gone away. And, so basically our costs versus our revenues are not in line, right? And so now we're being forced to be in a position, unfortunately, to reconcile that, and that's led to the next phase. But let me stop there and just kind of answer some questions. I know that's a lot, and I know it's a lot of bureaucratic budget administrator speak as well. And so some of that might sound like gobbledygook to you guys. And so I'm happy to kind of unpack that in more kind of normal human language. But if everyone kind of is cool and following me along, then we can keep going. But why don't we pause there for a second? Carla, I'm on my phone since I can't get on the Wi-Fi here. You can tell me if there are questions and just kind of direct traffic for me.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? I don't see any hands. Luis, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I think it'll be a little helpful if you could just go a little bit more deeper into how the fringe benefits and what the fringe benefits are, so people can have a better understanding of fringe benefits. They might think it's something else. So if you can just
right. Sure. Thank you, Luis. Again, kind of bureaucratic administrative speak. So fringe benefits equal what the organization has to pay/invest to make sure people have health care, dental care, right? Matching your 401k or your pension investments. So those are the things outside of your salary. There's a bunch of investment that we put into each employee. So think of it, the big ones are healthcare, dental, and a retirement match, so to speak. And that's the large majority. There's some others in there too, but those are the kind of big buckets. So when somebody makes, I'll make it up, someone makes $100,000, right? What we're actually putting in per employee on our budget is closer to $150,000 or $160,000 because we have to pay for the healthcare, the dental care, and so on. Is that helpful, Luis? Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Toby, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, just an observation. This is not new, and it's not specifically to colleges. The cost of everything we need to be healthy and happy in this society is going through the roof, and it's not new. It's been going on for decades, and we're being put in a position where we either got to ask people to work for things that without things they need, or go bankrupt. And I don't know what the end result is, but we in America should be able to afford to get people through college, because we need people with that education without having to take it and ask professors to work without healthcare, without dental, and all these other things. This is part of a larger, in my opinion, power grab that's coming from Wall Street. And until we deal with them and their relationship with the Democratic and Republican Party, this will get worse, not better.
So Toby, thank you for the perspective, right? And I think, I agree with you that we're basically dealing with pressures that are much bigger than higher ed, and they're certainly bigger than the state of Connecticut. And where that pressure comes from specifically, I think you're right. It probably, there's a multitude of factors, and there's a historical trajectory related to this. But I think for us, right, as an organization, as institutions, as leaders, and also as constituents, right, students and faculty, staff, you know, like understanding how those things are coming together and how they impact us. But then also, you know, how do we advocate, right? Like you just said, Toby, like how do we get our voices across so that folks understand? And so the thing that, you know, I appreciate having some time to talk to you guys because, you know, you don't see what we do, and I want you to know what we do to some degree, right? Carla and Luis, because they're on the board, they just sat through a 3-hour board meeting where, you know, they saw all the stuff going down. Thankfully, you guys don't see all the kind of processing and details behind the scenes, because that's really where a lot of our work happens, right? Where we sit down with legislators, we sit down with the governor's office, we sit down with community leaders and industry leaders, and we're trying to say to them, like, look, college is the way people make their lives better, right? And our students, they're from Connecticut, right? And they get their educations here in Connecticut. And they're going to stay here in Connecticut. They're going to live, they're going to work in Connecticut. So when you put money into the CSCU system, you're investing in the people of Connecticut. There is almost an immediate return and payback. But we need more people to come together to really tell that story, right? And so that's something that I hope I can figure out a way to work with you all. Like, we're here to help students at the end of the day, right? Whether they are students like Toby coming to us, maybe not when he's 17 or 18 years old, and then there are others who are coming, you know, right out of high school, and then there's everyone in between, right? We got to pull everyone together and tell that story of how and why what we do is awesome and it's worthy of that investment and that backing.
Christian, I see your hands up. You just unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just had a question. Do we know, I know that there's never really one exact factor for any sort of action that's happening, but do we know a general reason why enrollment is going down? Because I've just noted working in the financial aid office that the bureaucratic process of enrolling is actually really difficult. I know, once again, it's not just one thing, but kind of hard to enroll into college for some of these people. And the steps that we're taking, we have the option and the opportunity right now to speak to, you know, Chancellor Chang and learn what these bureaucratic words mean, but we're tossing these bureaucratic words at people who are not enrolled in college or who have not been in college or who maybe want to go back, and we're expecting them to float. And I'm just, you know, what's the reason why enrollment's going down? What can we do to make enrollment easier so people can come to school without having to do what is essentially a full-time job just to get into school?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Okay, so I'm going to just give you, because this is my job, right? This is my career, this is my life, and so I think about this a lot more than is probably healthy. And so, but I'll give you my take. Demographics are hurting us bad, right? That's one of the first and most prominent factors. So, very bluntly speaking, after the 2008-2009 financial crisis, folks just ramped down a whole lot on having kids. Like, it's that easy, right? And so when the number of babies being born 17 years later, right, so that's exactly kind of where we are right about now, is that we are hitting this demographic cliff where 17 years after, you know, a certain period of time, you just see that there are just fewer people enrolling. There are fewer people around of the traditional college age to enroll. Okay, so demographically, like I said before, birth rates, fertility rates, migration rates, immigration rates, all the rates are working against us here in New England. So that's factor number one. Number two, Christian, to your point, this is just my personal feeling. I think the way we do the process of higher ed, between whether it's how cumbersome filling out a FAFSA is, or whether it is how cumbersome or confusing it is for us to transfer from one school to another, or our policies, it's pretty Byzantine. And I think there's a lot to clean up there. And it's something that we're trying to do here at CSCU, is, let's just say, clean up the transfer process, right? Just to transfer from a community college to a 4-year college, it shouldn't be this hard. Okay, maybe it's not that hard. I mean, Louise can probably tell us if it was super painful. I think several of you could probably tell us that. But whatever it is, it should be easier. That's number one. And then number two, we should be making it easier for students from K-12 or folks who are currently working, who are adults, who have families, who have jobs. They want to come back to school. We should make it easier for them too, right? So working on those processes to make it as seamless as possible. I use this metaphor all the time. I'll share with you guys. So I'm an English professor, and I'm definitely like a proud self-proclaimed, nerd or dork. And so like I love tech, and I love, even though I can't get on the Wi-Fi, which is ironic, but that's not my fault. But I love things like that. And so, and I'm addicted to my iPhone like everybody else. And so I read the Steve Jobs biography. Okay. And it's brilliant. The Walter Isaacson Steve Jobs biography is brilliant. It's a huge book. But it was so inspiring to me. And there's so much that goes into the development of certain things that have changed our lives, like the iPhone, the iPad, the smartphone, or what have you. When you take an iPhone out of the box, there are no directions, right? When you take an iPad or a tablet or whatever it is out of the box, there are no directions. Why? Because it's intuitive. You turn it on, it says hello. The first thing it does is say hello. It greets you. And then there's a simplicity and an elegance to how simple it is by swiping, by using your finger, by moving things around intuitively, all intuitively, right? And that's why it works. And that's why it's taken over the world, right? What do we do in higher ed? We create a process, and then we say, well, this process kind of stinks. Let's create another process. Well, that process didn't catch everything either. So let's do another process. And wait, I still see holes there. So let's create another. We're 4 processes into fixing one problem, right? Instead of constantly going back to the main process and saying, how do I make it simpler, cleaner, more streamlined, more elegant? Because my goal is to educate as many people as possible. But I don't want to put the burden on the people. The burden should be on me to make it easier. And we don't do that in higher ed. So that's my long-winded rant about processes, whether it's FAFSA or whether it's admissions or whatever it might be. The third piece I will posit an opinion on is that things have changed, times have changed. So again, in the industrial era when I was in college, right? People went to college because it was quote unquote the right thing to do, right? You come from a certain socioeconomic strata and you're told, especially as an immigrant, education, education, education. Okay, great. And we did it because not only were we going to learn skills that would get us a job, but all the surveys, all the data from back then and beyond would say, and I want to be a better person. This is going to make me a better person. Okay, but now, especially since the 08-09 financial crash, all the data tells us that folks look at higher education as a direct corollary to their careers, to their lifelong earnings, and that they want to make sure that what they study helps them get a job. And so I'm not so sure the higher education industry has really kept up with the demands of what students want. I think students, and I experienced this when I ran my own campus down in Stanford, students want to know that they're going to come in, they're going to have a great experience, they're going to get the support they need, but ultimately what we give them in education is going to help them get a job, right? And I know that sounds a little kind of oversimplistic, but I think that's the reality. We got to prove to students that there is a value, that there is a return on the investment. And we tell a terrible story, and that's why nationally you hear everyone bashing higher ed. Guess what? When you have a bachelor's degree, the data today still shows that you will earn more than $1.2 million more in the lifetime of your career than if you don't have a bachelor's degree. With an associate's degree, you will earn more than $700,000 more in your career than if you didn't have an associate's degree, right? We are still the absolute most powerful engine for social mobility and economic impact, but we tell a terrible story. We don't connect to the workforce. And then that comes back to hit our enrollment because then students go, Hell, I can graduate from high school and get a job making 25 bucks an hour right now, right? Why do I need to spend $3,000, $4,000 a semester for an education? You okay, Carla? You good? We need to call a professional to help you out? No? Okay,
Swallowed my water
good.
wrong.
All right, good. Okay, good. I want to make sure you're safe there. But you see my point, right? Is that there's a confluence of factors here. So sorry to kind of get on my soapbox because I think about this stuff. I care about this stuff. We got to serve more people, but we got to make it easier and we got to keep it as cheap as we can. But there's a ton of pressure there. Anyway, all right, let me shut up and get to the next question.
Actually, Chancellor Chang, I was wondering if I could ask a question. So this is kind of tied to the demographic questions and issues that have arisen. So, so the majority of the deficit is with CT State. Correct. And CT State is where it all starts. That's where they feed the other universities. It's huge. Right. It's where lower income populations are served, and this is huge. What's happening with CT State? So my question is, during my time so far at CT State, I've really recognized that there's a divide between the non-traditional students that are mostly go online, and the traditional students, that whole group, they're affected by the pandemic, which we heard of today. So they want more in person. They're done with virtual. And I don't know if that trend is going to remain. But with this big divide, we've got two completely different populations, two major populations. How is this being talked about and in CT State, and how is it being addressed to meet the needs of all these students?
Yeah, it's an excellent question, and I don't know the answer to it. I'll be honest with you, right? I don't think it's something new though, because we've always had a similar tension between, let's call them, residential students who live on campus in the dorm and whatnot versus those who commute, right? And the commuting students more often than not are not able to have that same kind of, experience. And I don't know what exactly is happening there. I suspect that, it is something that, to be quite honest, probably isn't number one on the priority list, simply because there are so many things related to the budget that we have to try to deal with. But I guess I would say this, Carla, could you tag me separately, send me an email, and just, let me ask President Maduco, and he'll talk to his team and see what we're kind of in the middle of related to this. I would also say that I think you're exactly right, that depending on who you talk to and you say, how do you feel about online classes? Some people are going to say it's the greatest thing in the world, right? It's democratizing, it flattens the playing field, it lets me take classes when I want, how I want. I can keep up my momentum and just crank through and do things I couldn't do if I had to go in person. And then you have folks who are like, if I never have another Zoom or WebEx or Teams call again, it would be too soon, right? Because I hate video everything, right? Unless I'm FaceTiming my friends or doing whatever it is, right? But otherwise, I don't want it. So I think we're at the beginning of the beginning when it comes to wrestling with some of those problems.
Yep, I do see a couple hands up. So I saw Donna was first. Then we can go Luna, Hiram, Gordon, and then Toby. If you have another comment or question, you can go after them.
Thanks, Luis. This is Donna from Charter Oak. So yeah, I would be one of those proponents, obviously, of online. It works very well for me. And it's not so much of earning an initial education, it's just to continually re-educate yourself as, society, technology, everything changes. That's the only way that you can progress in your career. I know a lot of what we were talking about on the 5-year plan at Charter Oak. I was part of one of those committees. That we talked a lot about working with, stackable credentials that you could earn a little at a time and then put that towards a degree. So I know that's something that they're working on as well. So there is that divide, as Carla mentioned, between, those two different populations that you have to serve. We're lucky that we don't have a physical campus to have to worry about that. And there are a lot of benefits. I mean, for instance, the class that I'm in right now, I've got two people who are from Poland, one from Albania, one from Jamaica, one who's a current active duty military that just moved from California to Virginia, another one that's down in Florida where I'm at, and she was originally born in Fiji and came here and has been, here, I guess, since she was a child. So it's just, you get a lot of interesting and different perspectives when you're not limited to your physical location. So I think it's nice to be able to offer both options, even if you are a residential student, to maybe have some online options just to connect with other folks out there across the country that might have a different viewpoint than you do. I think it helps you grow as a person. And in your career, it gives you other networking opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise. My main question, though, was how can we, as a group, support the budget process? There was a lot of discussion last year about, going to the legislature when they were in session and showing up, saying that this is important. I know a lot of us, either did video recordings or sent emails. I personally, being a Floridian, can't lobby the folks there in Connecticut, but I can encourage other students that are there in Connecticut that I go to school with to, say how this education is impacting them and their life and their families and their ability to earn incomes, and why the programs that are being put forth make a difference in their lives. Anything that you can tell us there that might be a priority for us to help with this year?
Yeah, I think it's first of all excellent points. I'm going to try to be brisk, and I'll stay on a little longer on this meeting before jumping to my next one. But online education is not going anywhere, right? Charter Oak is awesome, and if it's up to me, we're going to make Charter Oak a rocket ship, right? I just got to find the fuel and make Charter Oak a rocket ship. And Carla and Luis hear the comments from fellow regents at the table. We want more online education. Doesn't mean it's the only one, but it's got to be an option for people, right? How do we advocate? Okay, you all, well, except Donna, but so we're going to take Donna off the hook here, but you all live in Connecticut, right? It's my job to lobby. It's my job to advocate. But when they hear from you, it makes a difference. But the thing I'm going to tell you is, and this is, just real talk, okay? When all legislators hear about us and from us is framed as negative, then how are we going to be perceived? We're going to be perceived as negative. Oh, the administration did this and they're terrible and Chang should be fired. That might be true. Okay, so whatever. I can't control that kind of stuff. But where's the positive? Isn't there so much positive to think of? Like, just look around your virtual meeting screen. How many of you see negative stuff? Right? I see positivity. I see people who are busting their tails, try to make themselves and their lives and people around them better. They're making an impact. I see people who care. I see people who are incredibly sharp and thoughtful and hardworking. And so I think there's a big difference between advocating and positing a negative message versus creating an investment case and saying, hey, we're the folks who keep Connecticut running. We're the lifeblood. We're awesome. Look at what we do. We're worth investing in. Look at the return on your investment. When you invest in us, this is what you get back, right? And so how can I work with you all? I need you all to help me craft that message, right? Some of you might follow me on LinkedIn, some of you might not. Last year, I did a whole campaign on my own LinkedIn page, and I highlighted a student from our system every week, right? And basically put out the bio, what they did, where they graduated from, where they're going to school, why they're awesome, how they're awesome. So thousands of people in my network every week knew that Chang was going to talk about a student. And I would get all these messages and emails, and they would say, man, I love this. I love hearing about students. And so I'm talking to my marketing team, and we're going to put the call out there and get more student stories out there. So I think that's the thing. We got to come up with the investment case approach and let people know. And so that you all can go to your legislators, and you have to, right? Because if it's just me in my suit and tie going to the legislature and the governor's office every day, we're not going to get there. As good as I am in my job, and I think I'm pretty good, we're not going to get there. We need you guys as well. We need the faculty, we need the staff. And the only other thing I'll say is that negativity is real, man. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to penetrate. But you got to think about that. Like, let's just pretend you're trying to create a relationship with somebody. Maybe it's just friendly, maybe it's romantic. And all you do is project negativity, right? Even if that's how you're feeling sometimes, even that's how you're feeling a lot. If all we do is project negativity, people don't want to be a part of that. They want to be with people that make them feel stronger and better, right? And that's what we got to do collectively. So anyway, sorry. I love talking to you guys. It gets me fired up. So I keep going kind of a little longer than I normally would. But let me send a text telling them I'm going to be late to my next meeting. But I'm listening to the next question.
Yeah, if we can, guys, if we can be a little brief with the questions. I know President Cheng has to be to other meetings, so I know Luna, Hiram, and then we got Gordon and Toby next. So go right ahead, guys.
Okay, yeah, mine was very similar. I was just asking, like, because you stated that you hope to work with us as students to kind of explain like the importance of our institutions and tell our story. I was just going to ask you, like, if there was anything specific you could share about these initiatives and like what you're actually trying to do to do that. But you kind of answered my question.
Well, we got to do more. Like, my LinkedIn is not going to change the world, for God's sakes, right? I wish I'd had that power. It does not. So we got to do more as a system. We got to do more at your institutions. We got to do more as a collective. And frankly, I think, we got to change the mindset. We have a deficit mindset at the system. Okay. And I'm just going to, I worked for UConn for 6 years. All right. And if we put out the call and said, we need folks to rally around UConn to go advocate, people are jumping out of their seats to do it. There's a level of pride and motivation and ambition and inspiration around that. And my whole thing is, look, like I said to you before, I'm an immigrant kid. I grew up poor. I remember the moment I realized I was poor. I won't regale you with that story right now, but that's the stuff that lives in my head. Like, I take that stuff personally, right? So why aren't we so proud that we jump up and we say, you know what? I'm going to go charge out there. I'm going to tell everyone how awesome Northwestern Connecticut Community Colleges. I'm going to go out there and tell them why Quinebaug Valley is awesome and has changed my life. I'm going to go out there and tell them how Eastern or Central has changed my life, right? We got to do that. That's got to be part of our culture, our mentality, instead of constantly saying, man, UConn gets all the money. Man, Yale gets all the money. Man, look at those guys. How come we don't get that? That's a deficit mindset. That's weak, right? We got to change that. And that starts with you guys. You guys are the ones that really drive stuff. You drive it more than you realize. Go ahead, Luis. Keep driving traffic.
Yeah, I know Hiram has another question, and then we can jump to Gordon, and then Toby lastly, and then I think we're done with questions.
Okay.
Hello. Yes. So so a lot of people are talking about the things being removed with the budget. I know some degree paths are being deprecated. I will actually be one of the last recipients of the data analytics certificate when I complete it in the spring. Sorry. But to put a positive spin on it, is it possible that we'll see on the topic, time doubling back to how enrollment, some things might not seem so attractive to people, to follow like trends to introduce degree paths that are new that will possibly attract more students? Or is it solely like deficit?
Can't cut our way to success, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you can't only cut. I was actually just talking to one of our presidents about this morning. The plan has to include, unfortunately, it has to include reductions. But we also have to present a vision for how we're going to make a positive impact. And so I'm an English professor, right? So I'll pick on English. If I have too much resources going into my English major, right? Let's say I have 25 faculty and a bunch of adjuncts, and I spend, a couple $1 million a year on my English department, but I'm not serving as many students as I should. And then that department technically is kind of eating up resources, but not serving students with an impact. And I should be putting resources into data science or data analytics or computer science or business or whatever it might be. We have a problem, right? And we also need to look at what's going on in the industry and say, what does the industry need, right? Do you need more of X, Y, or Z? And how do we help you produce that, whether it's in healthcare, tech, humanities, arts, or whatever it is? So long-winded answer to yes, we have to have new programs. We have to have new programs. We encourage, but we also can't continue to say, like I was saying before, process upon process upon process. We got to look internally and say, look, where am I going to save money? You know, you guys manage your own budgets, right? To some degree, you have to, right? So if I know I bring in X amount of dollars a week and my goal is to make sure I'm spending all my money properly, but money is a zero-sum game. And well, do I keep around Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, plus my cell phone, plus my subscription to whatever else it might be. And I also got to get gas. I also got to get food. I also got to pay rent, my utilities bills. Something's got to give, right? So we got to prioritize and we got to shift resources around. Maybe there's a trimming in a certain area and a reinvestment in another area. And I think that's where we're going to tighten up, sharpen up, and get stronger, right? But that's a hard process. And I think that's what we're in the middle of right now, which is when we make reductions in certain areas, I want you guys to hear this clearly from me. They are not arbitrary, capricious decisions. When we look at the data, we say, how much does this cost to have a resource provided in a certain area? How many students are we actually serving with that? If something costs me $50,000, but I'm only serving, I don't know, 25, 50 students a semester, then it's not worth it. I can't keep doing that, right? Because I might take that $50,000 and move it somewhere where I'm serving 1,000 students with it, right? So there's calculus behind it that folks don't see or understand, and they get mad when the service gets taken away. I get that, right? But I'm telling you all very bluntly, there's a lot of calculation behind what decisions are made and how, and trying to minimize the negative impact. Thanks for the question, Hiram. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the answer.
Gordon, if you want to go ahead and ask your question, then Tavi with the last comment, and then we'll close on with the questions.
Okay, yeah, I just had a couple of observations. Dr. Chang, thank you about the positivity, and you may have logged on just after I did my icebreaker. Cougar Pantry is the best college campus food pantry in the country. If you ever want to think about system-wide, I know a guy with experience. Also, it came to my mind when you mentioned the demographic cliff. We saw this coming a long time ago, and when I was chair of the SAC academic year 2015-16, we were calling out academic bloat at the system office. Now we're in a very different world, and I don't know what I think about that right now, but it just came to mind. But the thing that I really want to get to is you mentioned the Wi-Fi. It's a problem for you. Everybody experiences it. I've been advocating about that for over 10 years now. When it was just me fighting the fight, I was fine. I don't get tired. But on our campus right now, we're having medical emergencies. Students have medical devices that run off of Bluetooth, and then we get disconnected. And then it's the student, one in particular, very close to me, been in a diabetic coma a few times now because we can't provide adequate. And I came across a student on the floor the other day, and I had to run. You don't want to see me run, but I had to run about 300 feet to catch Wi-Fi to call 911. It's dangerous. When our students are hurt, I'm hurt.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And infrastructure is core, right? Like, we can have the greatest professors and the greatest, staff there to serve our students, but if our infrastructure is busted up, then we got nothing, right? And so you're 100% right. And Gordon, I appreciate you're always at the table. You take the time out of your day, out of your week, out of your year to always be there and be a voice. And I appreciate that, right? That's what it takes. So, again, on your campus, we got to keep running that through the right people who are supposed to be doing those adjustments and making those improvements and try to figure that out, right? I don't know exactly what the kind of glitch is there, but what you just said is obviously alarming. But the other thing I want to point to, because you kind of went past it a little quickly, is that you said that folks at the SAC knew or had seen some of the flashes, right, of the demographic drop, years ago, right? And so I want to kind of, point that out for a second in that the signals were there, right? And so whoever was at the steering wheel at that time, we didn't make adjustments. And how do we continue to accelerate and advance these conversations at the right level, whether it's about cybersecurity or whether it's about demographic cliffs or whether it's about fiscal prudence or whether it's about academic programs? We got to push these kinds of things. So when students don't want to go to a certain school because the program is not there, we got to note that, right? When students leave because they don't get certain services, we got to note that. And so everything you just said makes me think of so much more, Gordon, but I think that's really part of the value of this conversation, and I want you all to know me a little bit better. And through your student regents, I want you to push these items to them so it gets directly to the Board of Regents, right? The Board of Regents is my boss, right? They hear stuff. Luis and Carla are part of my collective boss. They're gonna hear things and process things and then give me the marching orders and hopefully work together to find the resources to get that done. All right, I think we're up to the last one, Luis.
Yes, we appreciate your time, Chancellor Chang. So, Toby, with your last comment.
Yeah, it's not often I get to talk to somebody like you, Chancellor. You're somebody that's in the loop of people that can make some changes. So I've been watching this for a long time, and I think you nailed it. Education's got to equate jobs and a standard of living. And because I come from the trades and construction, what I learned in my life is that you want to streamline that process. And what they do in construction is they marry education with work. And what I'm just going to make this suggestion as something to think about, and it's not going to be universal because I don't want somebody about to do surgery on me to say, hey, I got 2 certificates but no degree. I'm so excited to be operating on you today. Break all your degree or as many degrees as possible down into certificates. You spend 4 months in college, you spend 4 months in the field making a living wage. Corporations in the field you're in is required to hire you and pay that living wage with benefits. And then you come back until you get enough certificates to get that degree. This way you don't end up with people who are in a field that they hate, which I've seen a lot of times in my life. Yeah. They spend 4 years and they don't ever get to where they want to go. And one final thing, we need to end this internship once and for all. This idea that corporations are going to be kind enough to let us go work for them for free for X amount of time while we got this massive student debt is just not going to work. And so, like, I had a daughter that came through and became a therapist, and I believe it was 2,000 hours she had to put in as an intern to be able to apply to get her actual license. All that's got to change. I don't have the ability to do it, but I would suggest maybe you want to start some kind of a billboard for people who are like-minded that want to make offers of things they think can change and how it can get better. That way you're getting feedback and maybe building support underneath you.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion. So you're my first billboard though, right? Like you guys are my first billboard for the Student Advisory Committee. And again, don't take that for granted. We're a big system. We got 85,000 students, again, 10,000 employees. We're the size of one of the larger cities in Connecticut, if you think of it that way, right? So we got a lot going on. But I think to your point, right? How do we basically create opportunity for our students who are as good as anyone? And you guys have heard me say this before, and I'll keep saying it. I don't give a damn what zip code y'all are born in. I don't give a damn what like our life journeys have gotten us through. But I firmly believe that if we're doing our jobs at CSCU, we're going to get you as well prepared and as ready as possible for that next phase that you want to attack, whatever that is, right? Maybe it's a promotion, maybe it's another degree, maybe it's a new job, maybe it's your first job, whatever, right? But we got to change how we do things. Right, and we got to change the mindset from a growth mindset, or from a deficit mindset to a growth mindset. We got to say, what can we change and make an impact on, right? Your point about unpaid internships are garbage. I think they're actually bordering on becoming illegal, right? And I think the feds are about to, I thought the feds, frankly, were about to put a kill on it a few years ago. I don't think they have fully yet. But that's something that we don't like, right? And when we talk to companies, if the internship's not paid, we don't play ball. Okay. But how do we change what we offer so that it is more like you said? So imagine a couple things real quick. Just bear with me, and then I'll let you guys have your day back. Imagine as a current community college student that if you were admitted to community college, when you were admitted, that you were also offered dual enrollment at one of the four-year universities, right? So Luis, you got admitted to Northwestern, but when you got admitted to Northwestern, it also came with an acceptance letter or a conditional acceptance letter to Central or Western or any of the four universities, right? So imagine that. Seamless pathway. I'm going to the community college. I'm going to benefit from the PAC program. And then if I do right and I have a 3.0 or whatever that GPA is, I automatically am going, right? Seamless, done, right? Imagine you are a transfer student and you can transfer all of your credits, no questions asked. I got my associates, I transfer all 60 of my credits, no questions asked. I get automatically admitted. All of my credits are accepted where they're supposed to be accepted in the gen ed, toward a major, whatever it might be. And then I don't have to do the gen ed anymore. So Luis goes from Northwestern to Central, doesn't have to take the gen ed at Central because he already did a gen ed at Northwestern. And now he can just focus on his major. That's another piece of seamless transition and continuity, right? So I think that just internally, we got to do that. Okay. But then when it comes to the degrees you pursue themselves, right? So I'm going to get I'll just make it up. What if my degree in economics, I'm going to pursue a bachelor's of science in economics at one of our universities, but along the way, I'm going to earn a credential in statistical modeling. And then another, I'm going to earn 2 or 3 credentials along the way. So when I graduate, I have a degree and I have a badge, right? I have 2, 3 badges. So these are the kinds of things that if you want them as students, we got to push them. Because if we don't push them and you don't push them, then it always becomes the administration and the faculty are always fighting about who's right. Guess who's right? The students are right. What you guys want is right. Okay. So, all right, guys, listen, I got to jump. Thank you for the time. Thank you for everything that you do. Please continue to be a voice. Please continue to advocate. Please continue to give Luis and Carla more work to do because they're awesome and you guys are awesome. And any chance I get to come back and talk to you guys, I'm more than happy to take it. So have a good weekend. Have a good Thanksgiving, and I'll catch up with you soon. Okay.
Thank you, Chancellor
Thank you,
Chang.
Chancellor Chang.
All right.
Have a good
Take
rest
care,
of your
guys.
day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Awesome, guys. We appreciate all of you to sticking by. We were hoping to get this whole meeting within an hour. We almost did it. I think having conversations like this, especially with the person in charge of our whole system, is really important, and it gets a conversation going. And we get to communicate our points of view directly to him, so they see what the students are saying. So, anything you want to add, Carla, and then we can probably finish the meeting.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I think that was great. I mean, how lucky are we that he comes and answers all of our questions, and he's such a great advocate. I did want to say, like, at the board meeting the other day, me and Luis did notice that there weren't any students at this meeting. So I would love to see us change that and get students, because we're what keeps all of this running. So we need to really, I would love to see this group really get out there. And just as Chancellor Chang said, definitely funnel your thoughts through Luis and I so that we know what to present to the Board of Regents and what's important to all of you. So I think just really quickly, just in the interest of time, we'll move on to the open discussion. I think we're going to table all the stuff that we were going to talk about other than our next SAC meeting. So we don't have one officially on the books. There might be a joint meeting with the Board of Regents in December, or perhaps a special meeting, but as of right now, nothing scheduled. We will let you know if something does end up happening there. Other than that, I think this is the last meeting for this semester. So good luck with your finals, everyone. And thank you for coming today. Thank you for your time.
We appreciate you guys, and thank you for taking some time from
Thank you, everyone. Have a happy holiday.
Happy holidays to everyone.
Happy
And
holidays.
enjoy this nice day.
Thank
Have a
you
good rest
guys.
of your
Happy
day. Enjoy.
Thanksgiving.
Yep. Enjoy
Alrighty
your
then,
break.
have a good one.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.